Hey everyone, it's Lexus. Welcome back to my channel. This is Nam Nam to Fitness, where I make mainly healthy vegan recipes. In today's video, I'm going to be making delicious but healthy vegan recipes for this upcoming holiday season. Everyone loves snacking throughout the holidays, everywhere you go, whether you're at work, at a holiday party, or if you're just walking through the aisles of the supermarket, you always see something that just makes you want to indulge in, your favorite foods. So that's what I'm going to be making today. I'm going to be making recipes that I know I normally like to eat around the holidays, chocolate sweets, hot chocolate, stuff like that. So let's get into it. So first I started off by making some hot chocolate. So I have my favorite hot chocolate mug and I added some unsweetened almond milk to it. I'm just adding this to a saucepan on medium heat. And I'm adding 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, 3 tablespoons of agave, but you can use 2 tablespoons as well. You can sweeten this as much as you like. Add 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of coconut oil. And that's it. I just let it get hot. Once it came to a slight boil, I poured it into my mug. And I didn't have any mini vegan marshmallows, so I added 1 big one. But somehow I knew. This hot chocolate is so good. I love that it's so rich. I think this tastes better than the store-bought hot chocolate. And it's healthier. You still get that rich hot chocolate taste that you're used to. And this is perfect if you have a cold too, because it's turmeric in it, which is really good for you. This is how I make my hot chocolate now, like always, because it's very easy, simple, only requires a few ingredients, and I don't need all the other stuff, all the added sugar and the dairy. Perfect just like this, so definitely give this a try. Next I made some date caramel and chocolate shortbread bars. This stuff is absolutely delicious. It kind of tastes like the Twix bars that you're used to, just healthier. So I'm adding 1 cup of almond flour and a 1/2 cup of coconut flour to a high-speed blender. I'm adding 5 dates and 3 tablespoons of solid coconut oil. And I'm just going to pulse this until it's combined. You can even use your hands to mix this up. Just press the coconut oil into the flour. And now I'm just pressing it into an 8x8 inch pan on top of some parchment paper, making sure it's all even on every side. And I baked it at 350 for about 8 to 10 minutes or until it was golden brown at the top. Next I'm making the date caramel. I'm adding 1 1/4 cup of dates to a blender, 1/4 cup of unsalted almond butter, 1.5 tablespoons of unsweetened almond milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a pinch of sea salt. Once the shortbread is out of the oven and nice and golden brown at the top, I let it cool for 10 minutes and then I added the caramel layer on top. And I just gently spread it around the shortbread very carefully because I don't want it to break. And then I set that aside, and now I'm making the chocolate sauce, which is very easy. I'm adding 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, unsweetened of course, 1/4 cup of coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup or agave, either or at work, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a pinch of sea salt. And that is it, and I doubled this recipe, so of course a 1/2 of coconut oil, 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. And now I'm pouring the chocolate sauce over the caramel layer. And after I'm done doing that, I'm going to put it in the freezer just to firm up a little bit. I think I left it in for about maybe 20 minutes. You can also put it in the fridge, but it's going to take longer to firm up. And I didn't want to wait that long, so I put it in the freezer. Just make sure that you store it in the fridge once it's already set because you don't want it to freeze or get too hard. And once it was all set, I took it out of the pan so I can slice it. And I did add another chocolate layer as I stated before. I realized I wanted more chocolate, so I took it out, added more chocolate, and put it back inside the freezer. And there you have it, plant-based Twix bars. I'm telling you, these things are absolutely delicious. My mom is not even a sweet fan, but she absolutely loves these, and so do I. If you have a Twix craving, then this will do it. For a savory holiday meal, I made some lentil loaf with mashed potatoes and corn. So I'm starting off by sauteing 1 8-ounce package of baby bella mushrooms. I just chopped them up and I didn't add any oil to it because the natural waters in the mushrooms are going to come out. And now I'm adding a half a red pepper, a half a yellow onion, and 1 medium carrot chopped up. And I added that once the mushrooms were sauteed for a little bit, for about 5 minutes. So now I'm just going to let it cook down until it browns a little bit. Now I'm getting started with the nuts. I added 1 cup of walnuts and a half cup of cashews to a blender, and I'm just going to pulse it a few times. You want it to be into tiny pieces but not into a powder, so a food processor would work best with this. Transferred the nuts to a separate bowl, and now I'm going to add 2 cups of lentils, cooked lentils, to my blender. And I got these from Trader Joe's, but you can cook your own lentils. So I'm going to pulse these just a few times. You want them to be chopped up a bit, but you don't want it to be mushy or pureed. And now I'm adding everything into a bowl. I'm adding the nuts, I'm adding the mushrooms and the peppers and the onions. Now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed and 5 tablespoons of water. This is going to act as the flax egg. I'm adding a half cup of cornmeal and 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs, 2 tablespoons of ketchup, and 2 tablespoons of vegan Worcestershire sauce. I think I said that right, Worcestershire sauce. A half teaspoon of sea salt, a half teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of ground sage, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder. And also a half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, but that is optional if you want a little bit of spice. Now I'm just gently mixing it up, making sure everything is incorporated. And then I'm going to press it into a loaf pan on top of some parchment paper. Once the lentil loaf is pressed down evenly on all sides, I'm going to cover it in some aluminum foil. And I'm going to let it bake at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. While the loaf is cooking in the oven, I decided to whip up some ketchup glaze. This is a half cup of ketchup and 1 teaspoon of vegan Worcestershire sauce. And I'm also adding 1 tablespoon of organic cane brown sugar. Make sure that your Worcestershire sauce is vegan if that's what you're going for, because some have anchovies in it. For the mashed potatoes, I'm chopping up 5 Yukon Gold potatoes, and I skinned these for the most part. There's some skin left on it, but you don't have to skin it if you don't want to, because the skin is very thin on these types of potatoes. So yeah, I'm just chopping it up. So I added the potatoes to some slightly salted water that I had boiling on the stovetop. Next, I'm adding 1 cup of unsweetened almond milk to the potatoes, and I'm just mashing it up with the potato masher. I'm adding a half cup of nutritional yeast, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of sea salt. This is my first time adding nutritional yeast inside mashed potatoes. I decided to give it a try, and it definitely adds a lot of flavor to it. And you can make this as thin as you want. You can add more hot water to thin it out if you want. You can even use an immersion blender that makes it really creamy. For the corn, it's very simple and easy. I just added some frozen corn to a saucepan, and I poured some hot water on top of it until the corn thawed out. It only took about 5 minutes. Then I drained the water out of the corn. And I'm adding a little bit of sea salt, about a teaspoon of minced garlic. And I added a little bit of sea salt because I'm also adding this Cajun Slappy Mama seasoning, just a little bit. I'm adding some black pepper and about 2 teaspoons of dairy-free butter. I use Earth Balance. I also added some garlic powder to this, and I'm sprinkling on some dried parsley flakes. Once the lentil loaf was done, I removed the aluminum foil, and now I'm adding the ketchup glaze on the top. I'm just going to spread it out evenly. You can use as much of this as you like to, or as little. I used all of it, and I'm going to bake it again uncovered at 350 for about 10 to 15 more minutes. The lentil loaf is done. You can tell that it's done when you put your finger on the ketchup and it doesn't stick to your hand. That's how you know that the glaze is all the way cooked. And now I'm slicing it, but don't be greedy like me. Let it cool for about 10 minutes or it's going to fall apart like you see here. But this sure is delicious, I must say. And that is it. I'm about to enjoy my meal. Excuse me for the wobbling camera. I don't know why it's doing that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.